Imagine finding a secret oil that costs only $2 and makes any wood surface completely waterproof. This is not just about resisting a little rain, but creating a total shield against all moisture. Think about your backyard decks, wooden fences, and even your favorite outdoor furniture. Imagine your cabin walls, tool handles, and cutting boards staying perfect for a lifetime. One simple application of this natural liquid soaks deep into the very heart of the wood grain. It does not just sit on top like a cheap coat of paint, but bonds at a molecular level. As it dries, it hardens into a clear suit of armor that protects the wood from the inside out. When you pour water on a treated surface, it beads up and rolls off like magic. It looks exactly like mercury sliding across a sheet of polished glass. Ancient shipbuilders in China used this exact method to protect their entire naval fleets over 2,000 years ago. Even the United States military recognized its power and labeled it a strategic war material back in 1941. The famous explorer Marco Polo wrote about this incredible discovery during his travels in the 13th century. He watched in awe as workers sealed massive ocean vessels using nothing but this oil and a few natural ingredients. But then something changed in the 1930s when the big chemical companies stepped in. They figured out how to create synthetic sealants that were much cheaper to produce. These new products were not better for your wood, they were just better for their bank accounts. The industry did not stop using this natural oil because it failed to do its job. They stopped talking about it because it worked too well and cost almost nothing to buy. A tiny bottle of oil that permanently protects wood cannot compete with expensive gallons of sealant. The big brands want to sell you products that peel and crack every 2 years, so you have to buy more. If a product does not require you to keep coming back, it simply does not generate enough profit for them. This is the true story of the oldest wood finish on Earth, and how a multi-billion-dollar industry hid it from you. Welcome to John Knowledge, where we uncover the secrets they tried to lock away. If you want to protect your home and save your money, make sure to follow along closely. Around 400 BC, a wise philosopher named Confucius wrote about a special tree with heart-shaped leaves. This tree was known as the tongue tree, and the oil from its seeds would change history forever. Craftsmen discovered that when this oil was spread over raw wood, it did something truly miraculous. It did not just create a slippery layer on the surface like most oils do. Instead, it traveled deep into the wood fibers and penetrated the grain at a cellular level. Once inside, it went through a process called polymerization that no other natural oil can match. When the oil meets the air, a chain reaction turns the liquid into a solid and flexible shield. This shield is locked inside the wood itself, rather than just sitting on the surface waiting to peel off. The result is a piece of wood that completely repels water while still being able to breathe. This means moisture cannot get in to cause rot, but any trapped dampness can still escape. By the year 960, Chinese shipbuilders were coating entire ship hulls with this powerful tongue oil. These massive wooden ships crossed oceans and survived years of soaking in harsh salt water. They did not need fancy chemicals, fiberglass, or expensive modern glues to stay afloat. All they needed was the simple oil pressed from a nut that grew wild in the hills. When Marco Polo saw this, he noted that the mixture held together stronger than any glue he had ever seen. But tongue oil was not the only secret weapon used by our ancestors to fight off water damage. In Europe, people were discovering the power of linseed oil made from simple flax seeds. Famous painters used it for their masterpieces, and sailors rubbed it into their oak ships. When you combine these two natural oils, you create a defense system that modern products cannot touch. Linseed oil goes deep to condition the wood, while tongue oil hardens on top to seal the deal. For centuries, this was the standard way everyone protected their wooden belongings. Your great-grandparents likely had a tin of these oils sitting right on their workshop shelves. In fact, fence posts treated with these oils 100 years ago are still standing strong today. The knowledge of how to preserve wood for a lifetime used to be common sense for every family. Then, the era of big factories and synthetic chemicals arrived to change everything. In 1926, scientists developed a plastic-like resin that could be made in huge quantities. By the 1930s, these factory-made coatings started pushing natural oils off the store shelves. The sales pitch was that these new products dried faster and looked more consistent. What they forgot to mention was that these coatings just sat on the wood like a thin sheet of plastic. They never truly became part of the wood, which meant they were destined to fail. They would eventually crack, peel, and let moisture in, forcing you to buy another expensive can. By 1935, the transition was almost complete, and the old ways were being buried. Hardware stores stopped selling the cheap natural oils and started pushing the high-priced synthetic varnishes. The profit on a cheap bottle of oil that lasts 10 years is nothing compared to a sealant you need every year. These natural wonders did not go away because they stopped working or became obsolete. They were hidden because they worked so well that the industry could not make enough money from them. This information is just the beginning of what we are going to uncover here at John Knowledge. I have gathered even more secrets that the big outdoor industries really do not want you to find. We are talking about survival techniques and building methods that have been kept under wraps for decades. From emergency shelter designs to water filters that actually work, the vault is full of surprises. There are even energy blueprints that could help you disconnect from expensive utility bills forever. But for now, let's stay focused on the truth about how you are being overcharged for wood care. The numbers behind the coatings industry are designed to keep you in a cycle of spending. They hope you never look closely at the science of how wood actually interacts with moisture. But once you understand the molecular structure of these natural oils, you will never go back. Tung oil contains a specific fatty acid that allows it to cure harder and faster than anything else. When it reacts with oxygen, it creates a dense network that is functionally waterproof for life. Government tests from the 1930s proved that this oil was superior to every other option available. Yet, the industry continues to push products that they know will fail within a few seasons. A single quart of pure tung oil is incredibly affordable and covers a massive amount of space. You could protect an entire wooden deck for a fraction of the cost of a single gallon of brand name sealant. The big companies want you to spend hundreds of dollars on products that only last a year or two. They print the warnings in tiny text on the back of the label, hoping you won't notice the fine print. They tell you to reapply their product every single year, creating a never-ending stream of profit for them. But a deck treated with the right natural oil can last for many years without any extra work. By learning this today, you already know more than most homeowners in the entire country. You're now part of a small group of people who understand the value of real, lasting protection. Stay with me as we continue to dive deeper into the history and the science of this hidden treasure. The next part of the story is even more shocking and shows just how far some will go to hide the truth. We are going to look at how a thriving American industry was dismantled to make room for big corporations. You deserve to know why these trees were cut down and why the knowledge was taken away from you. This is about more than just wood. It is about reclaiming the wisdom of the past for a better future. Get ready for the next phase, because the facts are about to get even more intense. The industry thinks they have won, but knowledge is the one thing they can never truly destroy. The story of how this natural oil was taken from the American public is truly infuriating. In 1905, a plant expert for the government brought tung tree seeds from China to the United States. The Department of Agriculture saw the massive potential of this waterproof oil immediately. By 1912, the government was actually urging American farmers to plant these special orchards. They even offered free seedlings to anyone willing to grow these heart-shaped leaf trees. By 1927, over 10,000 acres of tung trees were flourishing in the state of Florida alone. Just a decade later, the American tung belt stretched all the way from Florida to Texas. With over 200,000 acres of trees, this superior oil was everywhere and very cheap. It was a domestic product that outperformed every synthetic alternative the factories could make. Then, in 1941, the government declared tung oil a strategic item for national defense. Every single drop of American-grown oil was reserved strictly for the war effort. Military ammunition was coated with tung oil products to prevent moisture from ruining the powder. Every naval ship was painted with tung-based coatings to survive the harsh salt of the ocean. The government knew exactly how good this oil was because they used it to protect their machines. But a strange thing happened once the war finally came to an end in 1945. The synthetic chemical industry had invested millions of dollars into making plastic-like resins. Companies like DuPont and Sherwin-Williams did not want to shut down their massive factories. These paint conglomerates needed a steady stream of customers to keep their profits high. The simplest way to create new customers was to make everyone forget the old ways. They began flooding the market with cheap, low-quality oil imported from other countries. This move intentionally undercut the prices of the hard-working American tung farmers. Soon, it became impossible for domestic orchards to make any profit at all. Between 1955 and 1970, the use of real American tung oil dropped by nearly half. Then, massive hurricanes hit the Gulf Coast and wiped out the remaining orchards. Instead of replanting the trees, the growers took government disaster money and walked away. By the early 1970s, the thriving American tung oil industry was completely dead. It did not die because the oil stopped working or because a better product was found. It was systematically dismantled so that big corporations could sell you their chemicals. Today, the global market for wood coatings generates over $12 billion every year. Just 4 massive companies dominate almost the entire market across the globe. They sell polyurethane coatings that account for nearly half of everything you see in stores. Every single one of these deck sealants sits on the surface like a thin sheet of plastic. It does not penetrate the wood, and it does not bond at a molecular level like natural oil. Because it is just a plastic film, it eventually cracks under the hot summer sun. When moisture gets underneath that cracked plastic, the whole coating starts to peel off. And when it fails, the industry is right there waiting to sell you another expensive can. You cannot put a patent on a natural oil that comes from a simple tree nut. You cannot create a secret formula from something that anyone can grow in their backyard. The big brands cannot generate repeat revenue from a product that lasts for a decade. If they cannot patent it and sell it at a massive markup, they simply do not want it. So the industry did what big industries always do to protect their bottom line. They replaced a product that actually works with a product that is easier to sell. But here is the good news. You can still find the real thing if you know what to look for. You can go to a hardware store or look online for pure 100% tung oil. It is very important that the word pure is printed clearly on the front of the label. Many products marketed as tung oil actually contain less than 5% of the real oil. They are mostly made of petroleum solvents and synthetic fillers that will eventually fail. Always read the ingredients list on the back of the can before you spend your money. If you see words like mineral spirits or modified resins, put that can back on the shelf. When you're ready to treat your wood, start by thinning the pure oil for the first coat. You can use a natural citrus solvent or turpentine at a 1-to-1 ratio for this step. This thinned mixture is able to travel much deeper into the wood fibers than thick oil. It fills the tiny pores from the inside out, creating a foundation that will never move. Apply it liberally with a clean cotton cloth or brush with natural bristles. Make sure you are really working the oil into the grain of the wood as you go. Let that first coat soak in for about 15 to 30 minutes to do its work. Then, take a dry cloth and wipe away any extra oil that the wood did not absorb. You need to allow at least 24 to 48 hours for the oil to cure. For your second coat, you can use a mixture of 70% oil and 30% solvent. Apply it the exact same way, wiping off the excess and letting it sit to harden. For the third and final coat, you should apply the tung oil at its full strength. This final layer builds the outermost shield, while the first 2 coats protect the interior. 3 coats in total will give you a finish that is stronger than any store-bought sealant. The entire process for a full deck will likely cost you less than $40. The finished wood will have a warm, honey gold tone with a beautiful satin shine. It will not look like it is covered in plastic. It will look like wood that is healthy. If you pour water on it, after it cures, you will see it beat up like rain on a waxed car. A retired woodworker once treated his cedar deck using this exact 3-step method. 9 years later, his deck still looks perfect with no cracking or peeling at all. Meanwhile, his neighbors have spent hundreds of dollars resealing their decks twice. He spent $32 once, and his deck is still protected against the elements. I want to be completely honest with you about one thing regarding this natural process. Tung oil takes a bit longer to fully cure than the fast-drying synthetic sealants. Each coat needs a full day to harden, and the maximum hardness takes about 30 days. During that month, the oil is building its permanent polymer network inside the wood. But once that process is finished, your wood is protected for years instead of months. The synthetic industry sells you speed because they want you to finish the job quickly. They know that if you finish faster, you will be back to buy more when it fails sooner. Tung oil asks for a little bit of your patience and pays you back with permanence. Every civilization that built things meant to last understood this simple trade-off. Wise men wrote about it thousands of years ago, and ancient sailors trusted it. American farmers grew it until the big chemical companies made them disappear. The oil never went away, and the trees are still growing in many parts of the world. The chemistry still works exactly the same way it did for the ancient shipbuilders. You were just never supposed to find out about it in our modern world of plastic. If this information is helping you, make sure to share it with your friends and family. Every person who learns this secret is one less customer for the big chemical brands. We are here at John Knowledge to make sure these truths are never buried again. Stay tuned, because the final part of this journey is where we put it all together. We are going to talk about the future of your home and how to stay independent. The final step in reclaiming this lost knowledge is understanding how to maintain your wood for a lifetime. Once those 3 coats of pure tung oil have fully cured, your wood is essentially armored. You will notice that the surface feels different than the plastic-like coatings from the store. It feels like real wood because the protection is living inside the fibers, not just sitting on top. This natural polymer network is flexible, meaning it moves with the wood as it expands and contracts. Synthetic sealants are rigid, which is exactly why they crack when the temperature changes. But your tung oil shield is part of the wood itself, so it will never peel or flake away. If you ever notice a high-traffic area starting to look a little dull after a few years, don't worry. You do not need to sand the entire deck or strip off the old finish like you would with chemicals. All you have to do is clean the surface and rub in a tiny bit more oil with a cloth. The new oil will bond perfectly with the old oil, making the protection as good as new. This simple maintenance takes only a few minutes and costs almost nothing to do. Compare that to the backbreaking work of power washing and scraping off peeling plastic every spring. The big industries hate this because it means you are no longer a repeat customer for their expensive cans. They want you to believe that wood is a temporary material that must be replaced every decade. But with the right care, a wooden structure can easily last for 100 years or more. Think about the ancient temples and ships that have survived for centuries using these exact methods. They didn't have multi-billion-dollar chemical labs, but they had a deep understanding of nature. By choosing this path, you are choosing to step away from the cycle of waste and planned failure. You are taking control of your home and your wallet by using wisdom that was almost lost to time. At John Knowledge, we believe that everyone deserves to know the truth about the products they buy. We are dedicated to opening the vaults that the big corporations have tried to seal shut for profit. There are so many more secrets hidden in plain sight that can save you thousands of dollars. From the way we build our homes to the way we power them, the industry has buried the best solutions. They want you to stay dependent on their expensive, short-lived products for as long as possible. But every time you choose a natural, lasting solution, you are breaking a link in that chain. You are proving that quality and permanence are more important than speed and cheap convenience. The trees that produce this miraculous oil are still growing, and the knowledge is still here. It is up to us to share this information with as many people as we possibly can. Imagine if every homeowner in the country stopped buying those failing synthetic sealants tomorrow. The industry would be forced to change, and we would all have better, longer-lasting homes. This is about more than just a bottle of oil. It is about a movement toward self-reliance. It is about respecting the materials we use and the environment that provides them for us. Your great-grandparents knew these secrets, and now you know them too. You have the power to protect your property in a way that is both effective and affordable. Don't let the flashy advertisements in big box stores convince you otherwise. The best solution for your wood has been around for thousands of years and costs only a few dollars. As we wrap up this journey, I want to thank you for being part of the John Knowledge community. Your support allows us to keep digging into the history books and uncovering these hidden gems. If you found this helpful, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Share this video with anyone you know who is tired of wasting money on products that don't work. Every share helps us reach more people and spread the truth about what really works. Check out the link in the description to see more of the secrets we have uncovered in our vault. We have everything from survival guides to energy-saving blueprints waiting for you there. The next vault we open is going to be even bigger, and you won't want to miss it. We're going to look at something the power companies have been hiding for over 50 years. It is a discovery that could change the way you think about electricity and your monthly bills. Until then, keep seeking the truth and taking care of what matters most. Remember, the industry can hide the knowledge, but they can never truly destroy it. You now have the tools to protect your home for a lifetime, so go out and use them. Thank you for watching John Knowledge, and I will see you in the next video.